Previously, I'd bought YSS full suspension for the 300L. I then took it in episode 2 to get fitted by Russ at Dyno Time and tuned to my weight. And in this episode 3, we're going to find out whether it was really worth going all out on all new suspension for the CRF 300L. So on the rear of the bike, I went with the YSS MZ456 monoshock. This is the budget rear shock from YSS in their range. But despite being the budget option, this is still a significant upgrade over the stock rear shock. And up front, I went nuclear with their top of the range 20mm cartridge kit. All up, including fitment, it was $2,090 Australian. And I was pretty excited until this happened.
Okay, the forks feel a bit firm to me, but I didn't look what spring rate you'd been supplied there, so I can't comment on that.
I was freaking out that I'd made a big mistake with my suspension. I'd put a lot of money into this, especially with comments saying it was going to be too harsh or stiff, particularly on the front end. I went immediately to Adam and said, hey mate, is this going to be a concern? And he reassured me that the design being a top out front suspension design, that this would feel very stiff in a garage pushing down situation. It would give that impression. He reassured me that if I hit the dirt, it would be a completely different experience. So that's exactly what I did, and here's the results.
That front end is just fantastic. Even in the corners, it feels more planted. There's more grip, definitely more grip. Oh, yeah, on those big bumps, that front end is just fantastic. I'm loving this little thing. This is my unicorn.
And I gotta say that the suspension has just been bellissimo. First impressions are, it's almost bang on. It is a little bit stiff, but it's the good kind where it really takes the hard hits well. That rear end is just gripping up so much better than it was with the stock suspension. Super happy with that. I think the back end is perfect. I might need to bump up the preload a little bit if I was going camping, but I will wait and see and do a camp on it with it like it is and see how I go. But just riding with the bags and myself on it, the back end is just perfect. It's quite plush and nice. So I'm happy I went with the more budget rear end there, saved myself a bit of money, and it's doing exactly what I needed. The front end, like I said, it is stiffer than the back a little bit. I have noticed that, but it takes the big hits well. Through those whoops that I went through, it was just revolutionary. Just the whole riding, even on the trails, going into the corners, dipping it in, it feels more planted. As I was saying, out on the road, it feels more connected to the road. And that was one of the things that really struck me today, was just how much more I can feel in the road in a good way, feel what the bike's doing, how much grip I've got. Really helps with the confidence. In the corners, it feels far more planted. Relief is the thing I would like to say, because it is a big expenditure. First impressions are very, very happy, smiles all around, double thumbs up. If you got the money, definitely do it. As you can probably tell, I'm pretty excited with how the suspension mods turned out. I was really worried, as I told you guys, but it turned out fantastic. It really went above my expectations. So let's focus in now on the front suspension in that narrative, which I'm not sure where it popped up from, that the YSS front end is far too stiff, the 20mm cartridge kit. But let me just say, from my experience, that's categorically incorrect. That's probably because I spoke to YSS, went back and forth, talking in depth about my intended riding scenarios. I was honest with them about my skills and the kind of terrain I did. And then once I got the suspension, as you saw, I took it to a professional for him to do all the setup. That, I think, is a big reason why the setup has suited me so well. So the other thing I wanted to point out is I've been getting a lot of comments from new and returning riders looking at a 300L and are now freaking out that they need to upgrade the suspension, otherwise the bike really isn't going to be able to suit their needs. And I just want to put those fears to bed. If you're a new or returning rider, don't worry about your suspension. Obviously, if you're on the extremes of the scale, you're super short or you're super huge, maybe you need to put some thought into it. Just get out on the trails, enjoy yourself, develop some skills and improve those skills and get better as a rider. That's going to serve you far better than any modification you can do to your bike. However, if you're an intermediate rider or you're at least at the end of the beginner stage, you've got some skills and you're really wanting to upgrade your bike to be able to keep up
start with the style of riding you've got and you don't want to go down the enduro route, I can wholeheartedly say the best way you can spend your money is with brand new upgraded suspension. I also wanted to point out that this is just the initial test of the YSS suspension. I'm obviously going to be doing a long-term review, getting all the kinds of riding I do, deep sand, single track, multi-day adventure trips, all the good stuff. So I will be coming back for a part 4 long-term review for all the guys who want to know how it performs in every kind of riding style, because let's face it, as dual sport and adventure riders, we really do a little bit of everything. So the suspension needs to be able to cope in the same environment. And lastly, just as I close out here, once again, big thanks to Adam at YSS Australia for all your advice, and to Russell at Dyno Time for giving me his day and all his knowledge that he's gained over the years. Until part 4, don't forget to stay shiny side up, and I'll see you in the next one, guys. Catch you later.